Can I have your attention, please? We'll be starting up shortly. Good evening, and welcome to the Lowell Planning Board for Thursday, April 20th, 2017. We have two sets of minutes for approval, and we have two matters, one in the site plan review, and one is a design review. I'll start with the site plan review, which is 279 Dutton Street. The applicant is requesting a special permit to renovate an existing structure into 4 residential units. The project is located in the urban mixed-use district and requires a special permit from the planning board under section 12.1D, section 5.1.17, and site plan review under section 11.4 of the zoning ordinance and any other relief that is required. May we hear the case for the applicant, please?
Mr. Chairman, just before we begin the hearing, for the record, I will be recusing myself on this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Fischette.
Mr. Chairman, Attorney George Theodora, 133 Market Street, representing the applicant, Christopher Natale. This again is an application for site plan review, as well as an application for a special permit under Article 12 for use. We also are looking to, there's a section here that we're looking to reduce the frontage. However, we're going to be also made an application with the zoning board to reduce the frontage, since this does not give us the complete relief that we required. In addition, we are going for a variance for parking, because this application for a special permit with respect to parking would contemplate the use of a public parking facility within 1,500 feet, and we were informed by the City of Lowell that there's no public parking available in the facility. Therefore, we've supplied the board with a letter which indicates that we have 8 spaces under this, 8 spaces which are required, 2 spaces per unit, and we are within 371 feet of a private lot, the Macheras Service Mart. Let me go back over here and tell you a little bit about Christopher Natale. He's been a property owner and manager in the City of Lowell for some time. As a matter of fact, Chris owns the property at 295 Dutton Street, which he manages and has his office there, which consists of 9 residential units. On that same street, next door to that, is the building 289-291 Dutton Street, which is known as the Ladd Gallery. That is also a condominium. And next door to that building, in a line, is this proposed project, which is 289 Dutton Street. This property at the present time and for some time has been used as a candle manufacturing, the site of a candle manufacturing facility that goes back to the early 1960s. It's called the Umidos Candle Factory, and this candle factory would supply early on all the candles to I know of this for a fact, to the Greek churches in the Commonwealth, and to this day plays a very prominent role in their manufacturing of these candles and supplying them to the movies Lincoln. And the one important part I'm going to bring up here is Miss Danielle Papanastasiou is here tonight, where she runs that business. We're not looking to necessarily anticipating displacing her from that, but she's been working with the city to find another suitable facility to continue her business in the City of Lowell. So, as you can see from the plans, this is a structure that's contiguous with other structures. We are looking to, it consists of 2 floors with a basement, and we are looking to redevelop that into 4 residential units. There'll be 2 units on the first floor, which will use part of the basement, and those will be approximately 1,600 feet. Those will be larger units than the 2 units on the second floor, which will be about 850 square feet. We have address the comments and concerns of DPD, which they wanted to see explicitly where the utilities were located, where the water and sewer locations were located, so that we would have a sufficient water to supply a fire suppression system. It has to be sprinklered because it's 4 units, and we've done that and indicated that as well. We've also gone ahead and showed where the sewer would be that would provide those utilities to the structure. Also, we have supplied you with what we have is some of the, for your benefit, is the architectural plans there, which we believe to have an open concept there. And that's based upon some experience that Chris Natali has had with other units in the area about keeping light open in the units to allow for if we have a window in the front and we have an open concept there, we have light that is allowed to move forward to the rear to the kitchen. So this is something that he's had experience in developing several other units and that he owns throughout the city, not just here, but also a redevelopment that he did on Market Street as well. So with that being said, what I'd like to do is to have our engineer. Yeah, well, also we indicated there was a comment from DPD that talked about the trash receptacles, and we have addressed that in the plan. And we also have a dumpster that is owned by Christopher Natali at his other building that he would like to use his dumpster there to have the tenants dump their trash into the dumpster to relieve any more of the city services. So with that being said, you want to, Matt, go through a little bit of what they have with the plan? I don't know.
There's not a whole lot.
There's not too much more to this as far as what's needed on it. But if you have any questions with respect to the actual site and the comments that were asked to be addressed, you can point them out in the plan.
Yeah, so for the record, my name's Matt Hammer with Lamplex. We're located at 10 George Street. And as Attorney Theodoro has said that, related to the comments that were provided, we've updated the plan. I know it was on short notice before tonight's meeting. But essentially, we've located the utilities out in Dutton Street. We've shown the proposed water line connection that would be necessary for a sprinkler system, as well as a proposed water connection for the domestic water. And then we're also showing the existing sewer line and whether we can use that existing sewer line or whether it would need to be replaced. We would work with the engineering department pertaining to the sewer connection. And we've also shown the location of the trash receptacles that would be located within the building. There's an existing garage door here right now, and we can locate those trash receptacles within the building if necessary. Right now, the other folks along the building currently put their trash receptacles against this wall right now. But as Attorney Theodoro said, that we can utilize the dumpster that's down at 295 Dutton Street in order to facilitate the trash removal. But we do have those units located inside the building. And I can answer any questions from the board.
Thank you. No questions at this time. Thank you. Anything else on behalf of the applicant? Okay.
That'll be all for now.
Thank you, counsel. Anybody here this evening want to speak in favor of this project? Anybody tonight want to speak in favor? In favor? Anybody here want to speak in opposition? Just come to the microphone, please. State your name and address.
Greetings, members of the Planning Board. My name is Paul Shore. I live at 52 Lawrence Drive in Lowell, Massachusetts, and I'm a trustee of 287 Dutton Street's Dutton Place Condo Association, I want to say hello to Chris. Chris, we see each other from time to time. I think very highly of Chris. I'm not exactly here speaking against the project, but I don't want to stand in favor of it until at least I voice the interests of the condo association. And as I look at the other pictures of other buildings in the city, my first point is really the historic block that this project will take place on is part of the historic assets of the city. And each of these buildings, as I'm sure Chris knows, is abutting in contact with one another. So one of the concerns we have, and I'm sure this is probably going to be addressed, but I'd like to be sure it is addressed, is that when the project is undertaken, that there's sufficient insurance and that the abutting buildings that are on either side of 279 Dutton Street are named insureds in case anything should go wrong. These are old buildings, very old structures, they're made of brick, and we know from the inside of our building, which has 3 condominiums, that there are historic paintings, which during doors open, we allow the public to come in and look at. And if anything should go wrong, and I'm not suggesting anything will go wrong, but if anything does go wrong, we want to make sure that those interior walls that are connected to 279 Dutton Street are protected by adequate insurance. And I would think a minimum of at least $1 million general liability would be applicable, because there's Kelly Sheet Metal, another venerable business on one side of the candle factory, and then the Dutton Place Condo Association, which has 3 condos which have preserved a lot of the unique interior architecture of what used to be a stable, as we understand it. So that's the first item. It's just make sure there's adequate insurance, and make sure, speaking at least on behalf of the condo association, that Dutton Place Condo Association is a named insured, as well as the 3 trustees for those 3 condos. The second point is that there are residential units all up and down the alley, as Chris knows. And so again, I'm sure that this is already going to be considered, but I'd like to make sure it is put into effect if the planning board's going to approve the project, that there be no construction during sleeping hours and during the weekend. I'm sure that's going to take place, but in the interest of folks who live there, and not just in our building, in the alley, which has become, the alley of Dutton Street has become kind of a community, that construction takes place between 9 to 5, basically.
I think our city code allows it from like 7:30 to 5 o'clock. It's set by standard.
Oh, really?
Yep, and it's 5 days a week. Right, so we have a set standard that's already implemented in the city of Lowell. So if they step outside those, you just call them up and they come in and shut them down.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
The third point is just basically that the character of the alley is really improved, we think, over the last few years. Some folks here have already brought up trash. We know that there's been increased issues with mattresses being left in certain dumpsters. Our trash receptacles, just the 3 for 287 Dutton Street's 3 condos, get filled up by other people living in the alley. So it's been an acknowledged concern by the folks who want to have this project undertaken. And we'd like to make sure the planning board knows it's already an issue, and there may not be enough receptacles presently. And that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else tonight want to speak in regards to this matter? Just come to the microphone, give name and address, please.
My name is Robert McPhail. I'm the business manager of Girls Incorporated at 220 Worthen Street. I'm not here to talk in opposition to the project, because we know Chris and we've seen his work and everything else like that. He does good work. What we're concerned about is the parking. Okay, you're talking about 2-bedroom units, and you're only allowing for 8 parking spaces. That means you've got 2 per unit, you have none for visitors, You have none for the teenage son or the teenage daughter who has their car, their motorcycle, that type of thing. We are, in the neighborhood, we're getting a problem with congestion, is because the developments that have been done in the neighborhood have overlooked parking. And now if you go into the block between Market Street and Broadway Street on Worthen Street, you can't find a parking space. There was only a handful to begin with, but because of the seasonal parking restrictions that are put on the street across from the Hellenic, in the handicap that is there for the Greek American Legion, in our bus stops, there's nothing there, but the street is a mess. As an example, this week we have kids coming in for April vacation early in the morning till evening, and one of the problems is them getting in and out and on the street. Would like to see it addressed so that there are more parking spaces being required. That's our major concern. Would like to see, and I can attest from this from being a landlord myself, 2 parking spaces for a 2-bedroom apartment is not adequate. You're talking somewhere between, 12 to 16 spaces could be easily used, no problems, especially if there are teenagers in the house. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The only thing I can say to that, sir, is the zoning code that's passed by the city council gives 2 parking spaces for the requirement. So to meet the regulations, if they come up with 2 per unit, that means they comply. Okay, so we don't change the zoning code, the city council does. We don't amend it, we sometimes have weighed in on public hearings on it, but the ultimate decision on that zoning code comes from the council, which indicated 2 parking spaces per unit. So, thank you, sir. Anybody else like to speak in regards to this project?
My name is Steve Severson. I live at 269 Dutton Street, 2 doors down from the subject property. And I'm not here to speak in opposition to the project either. I just would like Chris to, for the record, state that he's going to support the community aspect of that alley, and where at all possible to make sure that during construction and demolition and once his tenants are living there, to keep the alley open and available for transport, in and out with cars, not parking there, things like that. And clearly you need to have a dumpster there while you're demoing, but to have it moved out at night and things like that, so it's not being kept blocked over a period of time. And that's my only concern. Parking is an issue too, I think, and I think Robert and Paul have already covered that perfectly well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else want to speak in regards to this project? Anybody else? Anybody else? Council, do you want to respond to any of the comments made by the public?
Yes, I did go down the alley, and the alley is in wonderful condition. Obviously, the people who live in the units along the alley, they respect their space, and nobody is abusing anything back there. And that also includes Chris Natale, who owns the building on the corner. And I think everyone spoke very highly of the way Chris manages his properties and his reputation. So one thing that we can be assured of during the construction, during this process, that he's going to respect his neighbors and continue to be a good neighbor. With respect to parking, with back in the rear alley there, we can do what maybe everyone else does, is post the no parking signs there. We certainly don't want anybody parking in the rear to block anything, but we, as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, the ordinance provides for 2 spaces. that we are providing for the units, and it is city living. And there's never going to be enough spaces. And in fact, I think that we would approach it differently. There's parking available for visitors at a garage. People would be expected to walk, and we would want to promote that as far as the city living is concerned. We would want them to walk through the downtown or park, and so they could patronize the businesses that are associated there. So, I think that has a benefit to it as well. And with respect to the construction of this project, of course, we will hire, our contractors, licensed insured contractors. I would not want to impose the obligation with respect to the permit to require that they be named insured, only because we do understand, and the contractors do understand, they will have their insurance certificates. It is unlawful for them to perform work on one property and to cause damage on another. And I'm sure that with the experience that Chris has in rehabbing these structures in the city, that he'll take the precaution and hire the contractors that would do so. And so I don't want to impose that additional obligation on them if it's not absolutely necessary. That being said, I believe that the historical content of this development here has to be approved in design review before the historic board. So, that is something that we're going to be appearing. We've been meeting as it stands right now with them on how to handle the doorways, how to handle any of the other windows that will be cut into this, and that will all be done under the purview of the historic board, and we're working towards that for a public hearing for May 8th. So with that being said, if there are any other questions, be happy to address them.
Thank you, Counsel. Okay. This point in time, I'll turn it over to any questions the board members may have. Okay, Mr. Lockhart?
You have a scheduled hearing with the historic board? I haven't talked to Stephen.
We do. I spoke with Steve Stoll this morning.
Okay.
The filing deadline is next Wednesday for a May 8th hearing date.
Okay. Because we're a great resource, as you know, to really maintain the historical integrity of those storefronts. We're happy to work with you.
But thank you, and I believe that the architect has reached out and has already scheduled at least one meeting, and will continue to do that, so that when we work up to the meeting that we have all the full input from staff.
Okay. The other question I have is relating to the utilities that you've identified on this plan. Has engineering had the chance to review those now, and have they had a chance to comment on them?
They have not.
They have not.
They have not. Lisa's out this week, and Joe Katie is out for the remainder of the week, and as you know, they have a half day on Friday.
Right.
But I can say that we have the utilities out front to service the water and the sewer, and most certainly would be complying with whatever the engineering department would require for those utilities.
Okay. Thank you.
I also believe, Mr. Lockhart, that there was a communication from staff that indicated that there's enough to go on with respect to this plan to have conditional approval if necessary.
No,
with
I
respect.
understand that. They need to look at this at some point, that's all.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you on that. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lockhart. Mr. Snetsky, any questions?
I have no questions.
Okay, no. Mr. Boyle?
My main question was going to be about the choice to go with the open space and interior plan, but you addressed that in your own presentation. Is there any roof access?
Chris?
I'm sorry, John.
Are you going to
Is
have
there-
any roof access?
You just come to the microphone, sir, and introduce yourself, please? Thank you.
Yeah, all right, Chris.
So the question was roof access. I think the fire department...
Just tell us your name for the record, please.
Christopher Natale, the applicant. I believe the fire department, currently the building doesn't have roof access. There's a scuttle hole, I don't know if it's sealed up, but it's about 18 feet from the second floor. But I believe the fire department, they want a staircase and with a door. So I think I'll probably do that if that's the case for the fire department. And then the next piece is the liability. If you have a roof, deck, that could cause some liability for me. So it might be a staircase. I think I don't know, have the numbers off the top of my head. Dino Landry did a building towards the end, and there's like a staircase you can see from Dutton Street that goes up, staircase. So I think that's probably what the fire department would want, and that's what I would put in. I think that's probably the best I can tell you at this point.
Okay, but you wouldn't be designing any usage up top, any usage up there,
I'm sorry, Joe, can you repeat that?
But you wouldn't be designing it for any use
Use on the roof?
on the roof?
Yeah, I don't think I want people on the roof, yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm wondering how much of this we need to, if we need, perhaps I should ask staff, do we need to include conditions about this? We don't have a plan for what's going on in the roof. There's might or maybe not be a door added on top. Is this something that we need a plan for, that is something that we should review? I mean, another access from one of the units?
I mean, if it's required to have access to, say, any utilities or anything on the roof, then that would probably be addressed during the building permit stage. And they're the ones, the building department would know exactly, what's required in terms of access. And of course, during the building permit phase, the fire department does a complete review of the plans as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess just one other comment. These units I plan on building, every time I do a building, I try to outdo myself and make them better. This is going to be no different. These units will have high-end air conditioning, high-end, very efficient air conditioners. I plan on putting those on the roof so that the units are air conditioned. But another benefit of having a staircase to the roof is if these units need to be serviced with additional Freon, or if there's a problem with the compressor, you can access it without bring my man lift over there to try to get up to the roof. And also the back of the building, there's some transformers and some power lines, so you really want to be careful going up the building from the back, but you also want to be careful going up the building from the front. If you put a ladder up the front, Dutton Street, so it wipes out the bottom of the ladder. So I think some type of interior staircase to the roof makes sense, but I don't really plan on having my tenants or residents have a key to get up there.
Is there a common area on that second floor that it would be accessed from, or would it be accessed through one of the units?
Yeah, my floor plan calls for a staircase going up the left side of the building, and you'd probably just kind of continue that staircase up for space utilization to get up to the roof. And then I'd probably have my master key to open that door.
Judy, is this a common thing that a project comes before us and we approve it, and then after our approval, a door to the roof gets added? Has this happened before? It's just novel to me.
Yeah, I mean, if this is something that's interior to the building, it's part of the building construction plans. And we don't usually see those details at this phase.
All right, but has this happened before? Can you think of examples recently where there's been a door to the roof added? Is this a regular thing? It's just, I can't.
If you need access to the roof to access air conditioning units and other equipment, then yes, I would think that you would have to have that kind of access, whether a door is added or whether it's accessed externally. I can't answer that question because I don't review the building plans.
That's right, you wouldn't necessarily see
No.
it. Huh. I just can't recall this coming up before. I'm thinking like at the we often have plans on the roof. For example, what happened last time with the Athenian Corner, and we talk a lot about what the plans are, and we review it as like we're reviewing the design of the rest of the building. I haven't been familiar with any projects which then after that another entrance is made or another exit's made from the building added to the roof. But then again, perhaps it's been happening all along and I just haven't been aware of it. All right. Okay, the other question. A couple of your neighbors have brought up the alley, what it's being used for. It becomes sort of a community space. Do you know what they're talking about?
Well, I think there was one comment that was mentioning maybe a good community involvement in the neighborhood. That I think back some years ago, I think they used to call it Dutton Alleyway, and a lot of people making cooking hamburgers out there, and it's a nice community. And when I rent my apartments, I tell people there's a lot of nice people who live down the end, and they have a fun time. But as respect to the comment about being a community activist in the area, I can say that I've owned my building since 2001. I personally run my Bobcat, and I move all the snow, the entire circle. That's the sidewalk in front of Dutton Street. That's the entire alleyway in the back. That's both my neighbors on both sides. And this year I had my Bobcat at my house so my 11-year-old daughter could learn how to run it during the winter. So I use a snowblower. So I'm pretty active making sure I'm a good neighbor. The other comment that was made that I'll address, there was a comment about the dumpster and trash removal. I have a plan for that, and my plan is to move my dumpster, my Bobcat, from my house up to Lowell, and have my bucket, underneath my building, so I can load up the bucket, then back it up and leave my dumpster where it is, and fill it, and then swap it out, daily or bi-daily, so that I don't obstruct the Kelly sheet metal. That's what I was thinking about, but other neighbors. I don't know if you had another question that I didn't answer.
No, you pretty much answered it. It's just hearing from the neighbors, it sounds like there's a certain set of specific concerns, specific localized concerns to this particular alley and how it's being used and how it works. And I don't feel necessarily like we know exactly what we should be making sure you do in order to maintain that. But whatever it is, I want us to make sure that you do it. Perhaps it's the notion of no parking signs had come up. I'm not sure what else there is that would go on the list.
Well, one of the issues, since I'm there every day, there are people who, throughout the city, everywhere, who are dumping illegal everywhere. It happens to every one of my dumpsters. And I had one of my artists, the woman who does all my business cards, and my letterhead, I hired her to make a special sign that says, do not dump, and in Mill City property parking, dumpsters only. And I offered Steve to have some of the artwork so they could put it on their dumpster. But that is a problem, and then I have another big sticker saying that video surveillance, so that has probably deterred a fair amount of people. They go down there, and I do have some cameras, so if they pull down the alley and dump in any one of my neighbors' spots, I got a tape now, so that's a particular kind of city issue that's widespread that does perhaps happen to, I know I'm filling up my dumpster with mattresses when sometimes people drop their stuff right at the dumpster, they don't even put it in, so I'm still loading up my dumpster, but that's an issue that happens throughout the city, but does kind of happen in the Dutton alleyway where it's kind of a secluded spot, but that's what I've done recently to address it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, where you're a neighbor, it sounds like you're in contact with your neighbors. You want to be a good neighbor. I think maybe we include a condition about meeting regularly with the neighbors to ensure smooth construction and the appropriate use of the alley afterwards.
Sure.
Just to make sure you're in contact. I'm sure whatever there is that comes up that it's the type of thing that can be worked out as long as as long as people are talking to each other. One final comment. I wanted to address the parking. I support the parking special permit. This question about the adequacy of the city's standard. What it comes down to is that it's impossible, you cannot provide the amount of parking that the median American family it wants and expects per unit, and have development at the density that allows for a successful urban environment and would allow for the redevelopment and revitalization of downtown Lowell. We could either have the parking, or we could have the city, and the city of Lowell is required to pick. And we've decided to go with the city and the revitalization of downtown and the urban environment. And that does make it less convenient from parking and from a car point of view. It does involve people walking to their cars sometimes. When I lived downtown, I used to walk to my car. It was a long, complicated trek to get into the parking garage and stuff, and that was part of the deal. And that's the way it's going to be if we are going to promote the redevelopment of Lowell in its something like its historic urban form. And I'm for that. And the inconvenience of parking in the city is just something that's with us. So I can support your parking plan without reservation.
Just one last comment that didn't make me remember. The unit plan that I have are not two bedrooms. It's kind of an open, it's very open architecture, so it's actually like a studio. So my plan for the tenants would be just like a couple, two people at most. So it's not a two-bedroom, where a two-bedroom you could have, two adults in every bedroom. But with the that open design, that I hope that I hope I don't even need the two cars that we have. And then the second comment, I also have an older daughter who's 27, and she lives in one of my buildings, and she leaves her car parked here. She doesn't even use her car. She's using Uber everywhere. And in Boston, near the North End, they just built a building, I think it was right as you enter the North End, near Causeway Street. I think it was a 250-unit residential unit with no parking. And what Boston was doing is thinking, geez, a lot of people using Uber and stuff like that, but that's what Boston did. But I just wish I wanted to respond that it's 0 bedrooms instead of 2 bedrooms. Anything else?
No, those were my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Malovich?
I just have one question on the parking. I assume it's a permanent lease situation?
Yes, we're going to enter into a long-term lease with the Service Mart, yes.
Okay.
And the ordinance does provide for, if we ever lost that parking, we could conceivably lose our occupancy permits. So it's incumbent upon us to maintain that lease.
Okay, that's all I have for questions.
Thank you. So, excuse me, so you said you're going to the Historic Board on May 8th, and then you need, I think you said you needed variances. Do you have a date for the ZBA for that, or?
We're going to be before the ZBA on Monday.
Oh, a week from tonight?
No, this coming month, well, if we were
Oh, I'm
on
sorry,
Monday.
I'm since we always meet on
yeah.
Mondays, I'm thinking, okay, so it's
Thursday.
next.
Is that the 24th?
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
we'll be before the zoning board on the 24th.
So you're asking for the parking space relief from the ZBA, correct?
That's correct, because the relief under the special permit would require us to have the public parking
Public parking
facility,
instead of private.
which we do not. We have a private lot.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Judy, does staff have any further comments? I know we have the outline here that you gave us, and I know one of the question was that you wanted engineer to have a chance to look at the utility plans, because they didn't have the opportunity to do that.
No, I didn't have any further comments. It was good to see the plan come in with the utilities on it, and like Matt said, there just wasn't staff in today to review it. So I think that if the board decides they want to make it contingent on review by both the Water and Sewer Department and the Engineering Department.
So for the application, is he seeking one special permit or two? Because I have two sections cited here.
So the two sections are, one is for use, the 12.1D is for
Okay,
use.
12.1D, okay, getcha, yeah.
That's for use, and the other was for reduction in frontage. So we're kind of doing a,
Oh, I
I
didn't
guess, a
see that.
belt and suspenders thing here with going to the ZBA as well for the variance for frontage. Because as you know, the planning board only reduces it by 15 feet, and I think they have about 28 feet of frontage. And the-
That's correct, it's 28 feet.
Yeah, and the
That's
requirement's 55.
55.
Okay. Okay, so you need two special permits from us in the site plan then? Okay,
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, I have no further questions. Any of the board members have any follow-ups?
I have one, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Don't we have a section in our zoning for privately owned off-site parking? Isn't there a special permit for that, or did it not apply to this?
Usually, that I recall, it's always been with the city on the public park.
There's not a special permit
It,
that,
Section 6.16 does talk about, does address a residential building in a commercial or mixed-use district that may be provided on lots not more than 400 feet away to be served as the parking, if you're referring to that
Yes.
section. But I don't know if that section itself lends itself to a special permit under that.
no, there's not a special permit associated with that section, but there is a paragraph that does describe, if it's a leased space, it has to be leased has to be either, if it's private, it has to be either owned by
Same
the
ownership.
applicant or leased by the applicant. And again, that's where the language comes from with the lapse of the occupancy permit if the lease ever goes away.
Right.
But there's not a special permit.
So wasn't he allowed to do it by right then? Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to the zoning board for variances, we often like to
yeah,
make the list as complete as possible.
yeah, understand.
I mean, because there are other variances that they do have to address. Again, the frontage, I think lot area per dwelling
Yeah,
unit.
lot area per dwelling
yeah.
unit as
Yeah.
well under the dimensional
Yeah.
requirements, so we do have to go before the Board of Appeals.
Yeah.
Okay.
But thank you for your input on that.
All right,
Yeah, so that language does ensure that they will do exactly what they are going to do. They are going to get a leased space, and so the city does have the power to revoke that occupancy permit if the lease were to ever go away.
Okay, all right, then we're covered from that. All right, thank you.
The only other further comment I have is, I know on plan you put in where the trash site would be for pickup, and you know, gentleman indicated about putting in this dumpster over there, but I think to satisfy site plan review, you still have to have the trash removal on site. How much stays there and how much goes over there is totally up to the applicant, but to meet the site plan, you have to have trash removal. You know what I mean? So if you don't only have a barrel or two, but at least you have to have a place to put the trash to get approval for site plan, which should be on site.
Which we'll do, we'll
Yeah.
comply
I
with that.
mean, if he takes most of it away, then you don't have to put as
Yeah.
much out, but you
Yeah.
still have to have a designated area for that for the site plan, which I believe you showed us on the plan.
Yeah, right here.
So you meet that criteria. I'm just saying, you reduce that amount, that's fine, but on the site plan, you sell to somebody else, they need a place to put the trash out. Okay. So that's the only comment I had on the trash, okay, thank you. So, what's the wish of the board? We got 2 special permits and the site plan approval.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion for approval of the special permit to renovate the existing structure into 4 residential units.
Okay. Can we add with the condition with the approval by the engineer and water and sewer department with the utilities?
Yes,
Is that a conditional approval for that matter?
Yeah, it
Okay.
should be included there, yes.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for the first special permit for approval with the condition of final approval by the engineering, water and waste department for the utility plant. We have one motion on the floor. We have a second. Mr. Malovich seconds that. So, motion made and second. All in favor,
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none. Chair votes yes. So that first special permit is allowed. Now we have the second special permit. Want to make the same motion with the same conditions? Which?
A special permit for the reduction of the frontage, is that,
No, the other one, yeah, that's the 5-1.
that's the 5-1, yes,
Okay.
that's the same thing, yep.
So you want to make the same motion, motion to approve with the same conditional approval, with the approval by the city engineer for utilities and the water and sewer department, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do we have a second on that matter?
Second.
Mr. Malovich seconds it again. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes yes. Any opposition? Hearing none. Those motions carry. And the last one would be for site plan. You want to make the same motion with that, Ms.
Mr.
Lockhart?
Chairman, I'll make a motion to
Okay.
approval of the site plan under 11.4,
Okay, with the same condition
with
for
the
the,
same
okay,
condition,
with the engineering and
engineering,
utilities be approved by the engineering department, the waste and sewer departments.
correct.
And do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second that too.
And second by Mr. Malovich. All in favor, say aye.
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 Chair votes yes, in opposition, hearing none. Those motions carry. Just so the public knows, so next Monday, on April 24th, there'll be a meeting before the Zoning Board of Appeals for the parking areas and the reduced frontage. And then on May 8th, will be before the Historic Board, and that basically deals with the outside stuff of the
Yeah,
building,
the
right?
visual,
The visual part of the outside of the building, okay. Okay. Good luck, thank you, wish you well.
Thank
you
you,
all for
Mr.
coming down, I
Chairman.
appreciate it.
Good project.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just observing as everybody was speaking, I believe that's a painting behind there of that entire strip that everybody was talking
oh,
about.
yeah, that's it right there, yeah.
Have they found a place for the kennel?
Yeah, go ahead, put that right up.
Well, those storefronts are beautiful.
Take that down during construction.
They're very nice.
Take it down during construction. I'm just saying. The guy who's got the stuff on the wall, you should.
Yeah, that's right, Jerry. Yeah, good for you.
You know what I mean? I would, wouldn't you? Yeah. Yeah. You know, you get the,
That's a good project. That's a good
what do you call it, the stud finder.
The stud finder.
That's one of the few power tools I use. That's a power tool for me.
I'm gonna take a break. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I cut my knife here.
Excuse me.
What's the reduced frontage? You gonna pop out the front?
No, who's the reduced
Okay, we're gonna move on the agenda. The next matter is a design review for 109 A Street. The planning board granted a special permit to reduce the required frontage under section 5.1.17 of the Lowell zoning ordinance, with the condition that the applicant submit final elevations for review and approval by the planning board. And we hear the case of the applicant.
Market Street for the applicant. We have provided the right side elevation to you. There was discussion before about not having a blank wall that faces the side of a home or a corner at all, and the discussion was that we provide another window or two windows, and because of the configuration of the layout, and I gave you the floor plans as well, and I'm asking you to take a look at the second floor plan, and you will see that there's a stairway going up to the second floor, and that window is locating at the top of the landing in the hallway that faces the home, we'll call it the Phelps home. And it was Mr. Phelps who was here that night, and we talked about that we would do and make it look good and tasteful, and the reason that we only put another window up on the second floor is that, and it's in my comments that I gave to DPD as well, the rear bedroom there that faces the rear above the deck, that has windows that face the rear of the house. So we thought that it would be prudent not to have a window facing the Phelps home right there. So that's why we didn't put another window up there. We thought that it would be, that someone wouldn't want to have the window facing them, and so it would be done. So that's why we added the window at the top. But they certainly considered that, and they did go through, and DPD gave their comments with respect to this and indicated that they are in favor of this, and that the design in itself is something that goes ahead and it complements the neighborhood and is complementary to the surrounding homes. And the fact that we weren't able to put another bay window does not necessarily, take away from the overall design of the house. Also, with respect to this, I did send this to the neighbor, and who thanked us for sending it over to him, didn't have any negative comments, and that we would keep him informed of everything that we do.
Thank you. Board members have any questions?
No, just a comment, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
I think,
Mr. Bichette, sure.
I think just the feature, the front door and the roof pitches and the varying the bump out that they have in the front of the house, I think it adds character to the house, and really, again, not having the bay window doesn't detract from that. I think they've indicated, I mean, they've shown us from the plan that, as DPD just had indicated, just to ensure that there was at least one window per bedroom, and obviously that's taken care of. And from a practical matter, too many windows in that bedroom, from an interior standpoint, it's hard to figure out where you're gonna put the bed and where you're gonna put the bureaus, and so it becomes a challenge.
Closet.
Yeah, exactly, that becomes a challenge, so, and I think it minimizes the intrusion on the neighbor with the window, but it does at least break up that side. It needed something, so I think they've adequately addressed that. I'm satisfied with what we have here. And as you stated, in the DPD memo of April 18th, they've indicated that they were satisfied with the design. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Bichette. Mr. Lockhart, questions?
I have no questions.
Okay. Mr. Snetsky, any questions, comments on it? No? Mr. Boyle, questions, comments?
Yeah, I'm looking at a couple of different plans here. Is this all that's new?
Those floor plans, I handed those out tonight.
Okay.
Yes.
And because they don't quite match the elevations, these floor plans show a window on the first floor on the right side, and your right side elevation only shows the one floor on the second.
Correct. This is
the new
No,
one.
there is another elevation that was sent in that shows a window, a second window on the right side on the second floor.
Okay.
Oh, there is.
Okay, so what I'm looking at is, okay. what
So
I'm-
there,
The 118 is
yes,
that I'm looking at is old.
that's the elevation that was sent in that shows the right side elevation with the window on the second floor.
Okay,
That's consistent with this plan.
okay, good. I thought so.
No, we have a copy, thank you.
So your right side elevation has one window on the first floor, one window on the second, and your left side elevation has two windows on the first floor and one window on the second.
Correct.
That's okay. Yep, and plentiful windows on the front, detailing on the front, so, yeah, there may be fewer side windows on this than on the older, the 100-year-old houses, 80-year-old houses there, but, you know, at least where there's something on each floor, we're not getting that, you know, blank acre of siding effect.
All set? Okay. Bob, any comments, questions? None? Okay. So it's here for the design review. What's the request of the board on the design review?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the design review as presented, and that it meets the requirements of section 5.1.17.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Lockhart, seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes. Any opposition? Hearing none, motion carries, and the matter is approved.
Thank you very much,
Good
Mr.
luck,
Chairman.
Counselor. Good luck. We see a little article in the paper that the Athenian Pass Historic Board is, obviously
It
Rich
did.
told us.
It
There
did,
was a good
so-
picture of it in the paper, the one you showed us, so
Oh, yeah.
we wish you well on that as well.
Thank you.
Good luck, thank you. Okay, now I'm gonna back up to the minutes for approval. We have two sets of minutes. We have the November 7th, 2016. Any of the board members have any questions or comments on that? What do we have? Okay. November 7th, any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve the minutes of November 7th, 2016.
I'll second the motion.
I have one question.
Sure.
My name is spelled wrong.
Okay. Can you amend Bob's spelling of his name, please?
Oh, yeah, M-A-L-O.
Alovich, yeah,
I'll make that correction.
okay. So I think on this one here, it says the motion passed 3-0, but actually Joe voted against it, right? So that had to be changed?
They did change it in this one.
They did change it.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, you get the new set,
We
okay.
did get the new set. right?
Okay, gotcha, all right, thank you. All right, so that's approved, okay, thank you. So, the motion was made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So the November 7 minutes are approved. Moving along, we had another set for the January 5th. Any questions on those minutes?
Mr. Chairman, just other than the, I believe the correction of Mr. Malavich's name again on that set of minutes, and then with that, I would make a motion to approve the minutes of January 5th, 2017.
Okay, so we have a motion. Anybody want to second that? Motion for approval on the minutes for January 5th?
I wasn't
Okay, all right, so we either need Dick or Joe to make the motion for second it. Or I'll second it. I'll second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, both motions carry. So, Judy, I did, just a quick question that Mr. Snetsky brought to our attention. So is an alternate, his vote only counts when it counts as for the quorum?
Only when there's a need for the supermajority for a special permit.
Supermajority.
So what about, for regular quorum must work then, right? I mean,
Well,
if we had a site plan, it's just three of us, and he's with us.
So, site plan is actually not a special permit.
Right, I understand that.
So
you need a
that just
majority,
you just need a
and
majority.
he could be the third vote for the majority.
I mean, the act, 40A is actually silent on the majority
Really?
piece. It specifically state just the special permit.
Okay.
So if
Um,
if there are four of us, plus Richard here, and the regular board members split 2-2,
On like a site plan review, he can't cast this, he can't cast a vote?
No.
When it's,
On
and
site
it
plan,
fails
no, he's
2-2?
saying on site plan though, on site plan he could, right?
So, yeah, so a 2-2 vote, you have a quorum.
We have a quorum and it didn't get a majority.
Well, you
So it would
didn't,
fail.
you had a quorum for the vote. The vote didn't get a majority. So the way it's specified for the special permit is that if you don't have a majority, if you don't, for the actual vote, you don't have, if a member is absent, if someone has recused themselves, and you need that vote to actually get either a 3-1 or a 2-2 or a 1-3 vote.
But I know you're talking about special permit and then site plan, so,
Site plan, you're right, that just needs a majority.
right.
And there's no language about the majority. There's just a language about special permits.
So is the understanding on the site plan that if we needed him for quorum for 3 members, that he could vote and would satisfy the site plan?
If he was needed for the third vote, that's a good question.
Well, I think that's my understanding, that was the purpose of putting the alternate on.
Yeah, exactly.
Is so when we were down.
Yeah, exactly.
Because for a long time, and I'm talking 2.5, almost 3 years, we only had 4 board members.
Yeah.
Because the manager at the time didn't feel a need to put the 5th one on. So every special permit
Yeah, Bernie.
needed all 4 people,
Right.
you know? So that was a difficult one.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right.
it was more difficult for the applicant, so when I say, well, you gotta speak to the manager, not us at the
Right.
time, you know? But I'm thinking, for a quorum, would it be okay for the special permit if, say, one was absent and one had
If you-
excused himself for a reason? Would that
Right.
person, the third person, be okay to vote for a site plan?
You know,
Where you're saying 48, you're saying
in-
special permit.
Right.
If it's special out, or
Right.
either that, or we could ask the law department for more definitive.
Right, we could,
Okay.
yes. And I've seen that I've seen boards,
Just so we know in the future reference how that role plays, but
right, I've seen boards use the associate that way when they needed an actual quorum
Right.
vote. I have seen that,
yeah, I've seen it done on the ZBA,
yeah.
Yeah.
because like I said, we haven't had much of a alternate.
Right. So I definitely can get further clarification from that.
Well, but since I've been here, we've only had 2 alternates, and they're both sitting here,
Right.
Right.
and that's been
Yeah,
32
that's
years.
right, Tom. Long
He's
time.
the only 2 alternates that ever been on the board since,
Right.
that I'm aware of.
Right.
So we haven't had a lot of history on
Right.
that. So
Right.
that's why when we're talking to Dick earlier, he said, when he questioned the minutes and how it played out, so.
Right.
Yeah, but if you want to speak to Eric about that, or somebody in the law department, just to
Sure.
give us something so we have in writing, something
Yes.
comes up in the future, one way or another.
Sure.
Or at least what their feeling is on that.
Sure.
So we don't get stuck, I mean, of course, it hasn't come to that point yet, but I could see it come in the future, so maybe we'd have some clarification, or at least
Yeah.
a backup, either the law department or Eric can check with them and see, how the board, what's the special uses under, and I'll look up 48, section 9, see what they feel it is, and then how, goes different between site plan and special permit. Yeah, so I mean, if it's,
Well,
So like you're saying, if it's, we have 5 people here, it's a special permit, the vote's 2-2, and then if he can't break the vote, if that's what the law says, then, because we don't need him for the quorum, but the question would, because you'd have the 4,
Yeah.
you know, so that'd be an interesting question.
We did have a 3-2 vote on something recently. I think it was Richard and I were the 2 on something. I don't remember what it was.
But if it was site plan, it should be all set, because obviously if it was a special permit, we would need the 4.
Yeah.
So if it was site plan, we should have been okay.
Yeah.
We want to put ourselves in a position where you could jeopardize a decision,
Yeah.
and somebody could appeal it just from a technical
Yeah,
standpoint.
right. So
Right.
just if we can
They voted
follow up on that, however, if the law, I mean, if you could ask them indirectly, if they need to, I know they don't need a formal vote from us, I know we can always refer a thing to them indirectly through staff,
Yes.
and see which way, that, they feel more comfortable, just so we know for, I mean, if something comes up in the middle of the night and on a big project, and
Right.
they just give us some clarification which way to go on that, so, and then, we'd have a little more leeway in which way we should proceed, so. And then we can, but if someone asks us a question, so, this is a lot of power to it.
Right.
So, all right, I appreciate that, thank you very
Sure.
much. Do any board members have any follow-up to regards to any of the boards they're on? Richard,
Just the
anything else?
historic board, Steve is totally involved in Doors Open Lowell now, getting that moving, and the next couple of weeks we'll have buildings that are participating this year up on the website, and it's May 18th through the 20th. It's a big deal, and he puts in a lot of hours on getting documentation to the local newspaper as well as the online stuff, so it's something to really look forward to. May 18th and through the 20th, for sure.
All right, thank you. Any other board members follow up? No? So Judy, our next meeting would be May 1st, huh, Monday night?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have much on that agenda so far, or do you know much coming in yet?
Actually, the only item on the agenda is a discussion, a pre-application discussion with Lowell Catholic.
Oh, Jerry Foley's working on that,
What are they requested to do now, the Lowell Catholic?
I have not seen any of their plans. It's a, I don't know if it's a new building or building addition.
Because what I've been informed is Lowell Catholic and St. Margaret's have merged, so now
yeah.
they're,
Yeah,
Yes.
there's a sharing of
Right.
resources or something,
because before I know they were totally separate.
yeah,
When they came in before several times in the past, they were separate, I know that, but
right.
someone recently just told me that the two of them are now merged, so.
Right.
Whether it's gonna be on which property and when, we don't know yet, right? Okay. All right, thank you very much, Judy. And again, formally welcome back
Thank you.
Yeah, good to
from
see you.
your medical leave for your surgery. Okay, the board members have nothing further to add. At this time, we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion's made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, chair votes yes. We have adjourned, and good night, and thank you, everyone.
Jerry Foley is doing that